This simple trick keeps the oil from dripping all over my hands and makes the job way cleaner. Small hacks like this save time and mess when you are working on your car. For almost any Chevy or GMC vehicle with the 5.3-liter V8 engine from 2007 to 2013, like Chevy Tahoe, Chevy Suburban, Chevy Avalanche, GMC Sierra 1500, GMC Yukon. If you want to save money, keep your truck running strong and avoid costly mistakes, you are in the right place. Hello everyone, welcome to Spanglish Garage, and let's begin with this process. Get your oil change container ready, make sure your car is lifted, secure, and always use the e-brake and block the wheels just to be safe. Now we go under the car on your driver's side, and this one right here is your oil pan and the oil filter. Of course, we need to locate this so we can point at the drain plug, which I'm gonna be showing you in just a little bit. Now, how much oil this engine takes and what kind of oil you should be using, and also what filter should you be using, we are gonna be talking about that in just a moment. This one right here is your oil filter. It is crucial that you replace it every time that you change your oil. I have seen people who choose not to change the oil filter, and that is a big no-no. Let's talk about that in just a little bit, but first let me introduce you to the drain plug. This one right here, it is a 15mm socket size, and that is what we are gonna be using to remove it. Be careful if the engine is still hot, like in my case it was really hot. You don't want to get burned with the hot oil. Now, for those people who decide not to replace the oil filter, what could happen if you do that? Well, old contaminant stays in the engine. You will reduce the oil flow, you will shorten the oil life, and potentially engine wear or damage. So the bottom line is, changing the oil but not the filter is like showering but putting on dirty clothes again. You don't get the full benefit, and it could cause problems down the road. When changing the engine oil, always replace the filter as well. Alright, now we are underneath, and the first thing that we are gonna be removing, as you are seeing, we already talked about it, is the oil drain plug. This plug, as I mentioned before, usually is a 15mm bolt on the 5.3-liter engine. Always make sure you've got your oil drain pan in place before loosening the bolt, because once it comes out, the oil is going to start flowing right away. Here is a quick tip. Crank the bolt loose slowly, but keep pressure on that bolt with your fingers until you are ready to pull it out. That way you don't drop it into the hot oil. Trust me, it happens all the time. Also, be careful because the oil can be hot, as I mentioned before, if the truck was running. In my case, it was really hot. I recommend letting the engine cool down a little before you drain it to avoid any kinds of burns. And here is something most people don't mention. When the oil first comes out, it is under a bit of pressure, so it will shoot forward before it starts dripping straight down. That's why I always position the pan a little ahead of the drain plug, then slide it back as the flow slows down. Take a moment to inspect your drain plug. This oil plug usually has a washer that it should be in good shape. If not, go ahead and replace it. This is not expensive at all. Now that we have drained the old oil, it is time to reinstall the drain plug. Remember, you don't want to over tighten it. The proper torque for this 5.3-liter engine is about 18 foot-pounds, no more than that. Just snug enough to seal without damaging the oil pan thread. Believe me, you don't want to damage that. Using a torque wrench is the best way to make sure it is perfect and leak-free. But if you don't have it, again, as you can see it, I'm doing it with a regular ratchet. Just make sure it is snug and firm, not too much, not too little, and you will be good to go. Next up, we are taking off the oil filter. I start with an oil filter plier to break it loose, as you can see, and then finish by hand. Here is a little pro tip. I'm sliding a foam cup over the filter while unscrewing it. This simple trick keeps the oil from dripping all over my hands and makes the job way cleaner. Small hacks like this save time and mess when you are working on your car. Take a look at the end of this video. I'm gonna be leaving you a list of all the important details that you need to remember in order to do this job the right way. Now it's time to install the new oil filter. Always make sure to lightly coat the rubber O-ring with a bit of fresh oil. This helps create a good seal and makes it easier to remove during the next oil change. Also, it's really important that you pay attention and take a look to your old oil filter. The gasket, the O-ring, should still be there on the oil filter, not in the engine. This gasket likes to get stuck to the engine, so just take a look at the engine. The gasket should not be there. The gasket should be on your old oil filter. When tightening, you don't want to overdo it. Hand tighten the filter until it touches the engine, and then you want to give it about 3/4 of a turn or a full rotation, no more than that. That's all it takes. If you tighten it too much, that can actually cause leaks or make it almost impossible to remove it later. Now we can refill the engine with fresh oil. For this 5.3 liters V8 engine, the oil capacity is about 6 quarts with a filter change. Always double check your owner's manual just in case. Now make sure to use the recommended oil type. In this case, typically 5W30 full synthetic work best for these engines. And very important, GM recommends using Dexos certified oil. This ensures the oil meets their quality standards for protection and performance. Pour the oil slowly using a funnel to avoid spills, and take your time here. Overfilling and underfilling can cause problems, and we want to avoid that. But as I mentioned, the 5.3 liter V8 engine takes about 6 quarts. Now once filled, replace the cap securely before starting the engine. If you got any value from this video, drop a comment, like, and consider subscribing for more similar content. It really makes a difference. Take a look at the end of this video. I'm gonna be leaving you a list of all the important details that you need to remember in order to do this job the right way. How often then should you be replacing your engine oil? 5.3 liter V8. Since we are using synthetic blend oil, typically every 5,000 to 7,500 miles or every 6 months, whichever comes first. Even though this is the standard recommendation, I personally prefer to changing my engine oil on all my cars every 5,000 miles. Also keep in mind that there are other factors that you need to consider, like driving conditions, for example, frequent short trips, stops and go traffic, extreme heat, towing, or dusty roads can require more frequent changes.